Welcome to HaslipCycleworks. I'm Robert, and today we're going to continue work on our project Mini Trike. Now, in our last installment of this build, we bolted up our built Predator 212 Hemi and got it to fire up. Hooked up our throttle, and I've done some of the braking procedure, still got a little ways to go, and still tuning the carb a little bit. Really want to get this thing done because I want to get out on the streets and tear it up once it starts getting warm out and show you guys what this thing's going to do and what it's all about. So two goals in this video: where we're going to park our butt and where we're going to hang our feet. Let's get on it. So for the seat on Project Mini Trike, I wanted something a little more fancy than just vinyl wrapped around a piece of wood. Wanted something comfortable, but something that looked nice and fit the frame of the bike, but I didn't want to restrain myself or any future riders of this trike by just building like a real small pillion style seat. Something real small and square. I wanted something kind of long, rounded back end on it, and maybe some sort of pattern sewn into it. So I looked online and tried to come up with a seat for it, and everything I found was either the wrong size, the wrong shape, or if it meet those requirements, the price was astronomical. I originally wanted to go with the seat like what was on, or what is going on Project Vulcan. It's the perfect length, perfect width, and it has the removable padded hump on the rear. And it's got the nice diamond stitching in it. This is available with a flat front. This one, as you can tell, has a raised front for the gas tank. But you can get this flat and in multiple colors and everything. And I even test fitted on Project Mini Trike, and it fit fabulous, to the point where I was about to find a new seat for Project Vulcan. The problem with this seat though is it's a couple $100. So didn't really want to go down that route. It did look good. Maybe on a future build we can kind of explore that, but for this one it's just too much. So I started looking for the vinyl that you need to build these seats, the material, the different types of foam and everything, doing my research, the high density, the low density, closed cell, open cell. Started getting a build sheet together on what I needed to order for the seat. Well, before too long, I realized that I was going to have as much in it as I would if I were to use a seat just like the one on Project Vulcan. And I can't sew. I don't have a sewing machine, don't have access to one, and even if I did, I wouldn't know what to do with it. So there's that problem too. So what do you do if you can't find a pre-built seat, you can't sew, and you don't want to spend an astronomical amount of cash on a seat for a mini bike or mini trike? I'll tell you what I did. I hopped on over to Amazon and started looking at cafe racer and scrambler style seats. And I found the cheapest black seat that I could that was vinyl and had the foam in it and was in the USA, so I didn't have to wait 4 weeks for it to ship from China. And this is what I came up with. Pretty nice. Nice cushy feel to it, but not too soft. As you can tell, the shape is all wrong because the frame rails on Project Mini Trike are straight. They don't open up. This is probably something for like a CB 750 or something along those lines. But wait a minute, Robert, didn't you just say that you couldn't find one that fit? Right. This does not fit the bike, period. Right length, and it's the right width in a couple spots, but you can see it bows out. Plus it's got this really weird plastic on the bottom. I'm not a big fan of that. So what am I doing with this? Well, my next step was to take some 3/4 inch plywood, cut it out to the shape and dimensions that I wanted for the Mini Trike. And if you're building one of these kits from Bobby Hammond, 7 inches wide seems to fit the frame rails perfectly. You're right at the center point of the tubing on both sides. Looks awesome. 7 inches wide, and from the end to this end, 19 inches. Where did I come up with that number from? Well, one, that's plenty of real estate for my butt and doesn't restrict us on how tall you have to be to ride this. Or, you know, you could be taller than me, shorter than me, and still fit comfortably on this bike. So what do we do with these two things? Well, my goal is to take this seat apart. I'm going to pull the staples out. We're going to unwrap the vinyl. We're going to take the foam off, and we're going to put it on our plywood base. I'm going to wrap the vinyl back around our plywood base. I'm going to staple it on. That'll give us our the nice pattern. It's going to give us this nice rear section, and if you notice, the shape of this, if I can hold it right, actually matches the shape of the back of this seat. I did that so that we can keep this look. If I changed the radius or made it pointy, it's going to bunch up and look really weird. So if you stay along the lines of this seat that we're going to use as a donor, you're not going to have any bunching or any weird wrinkles or anything like that to contest with. So what I'm going to do now is go through and pop these staples off, and we're going to get it back put on our plywood base. And the best part, if we can pull this off, this seat was $25, I believe, shipped. I couldn't touch the material to build my own seat unless I bought in huge quantities for 25 bucks. So if this works, we're winning. I'm going to get on this, I'm going to pop these staples off, and we're going to try to wrap this plywood with the vinyl and foam. Alright, so I've gotten all the staples out. Time to separate it. Let's see what we're really working with here. Alright, that looks pretty cool. They've actually got a backing and some foam on top of that backing sewn directly to the vinyl, so that'll make it a little bit easier. And the foam on the plastic shell, not glued down. Awesome. So that looks like it's gonna fit pretty well. I am definitely going to have to trim this foam to kind of fit this seat pan that we've built, but I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. I need to get the X-Acto blade out. We're going to try to section some of this foam out. The foam doesn't have to be perfect. You don't want any big holes or gashes in it though, because when you pull your fabric tight, it's going to kind of show through. So again, doesn't need to be perfect, but we can get it close. The end result's going to look a lot better. It all kind of worked out pretty well. All I did was pull the foam around our plywood and ran a steady stream of staples down the side of it, and it's got a pretty good shape on it. It's pretty much straight down the side. Well guys, I think it's going to be a win. Nice and straight once you pull it all tight. Our pattern stays consistent. We kept that nice transition on the rear. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm digging it. The only thing I really need to do is come back and trim some of this excess off. But what I'm going to do now is go ahead and drop it on the frame, run a couple of our bolts in, and see how she looks. Looks good. Consistent looking. No weird corners or anything like that. Tucks in on the frame real nice. Got that nice transition in the back. I think it looks good. Ooh. Yeah, that seat's nice. Nice and comfy. Not too soft, but it's kind of firm, which is good. Got a nice rounded shape to it, so we kind of contour in a little bit. Feels pretty good. Firm, but not like a rock. And it's a little squishy, but it's not like a beanbag. So 25 bucks, guys. I'm gonna call that one a win. All right, so now that we know where about we can park our butt, let's see where we can put some foot pegs. So for our foot pegs on Project Mini Trike, I sat down on this thing and tried to figure out something cool that we could use for foot pegs. And for me, my foot comfortably lands right around here. So my first instinct was to build a plate that ran from here to here, drill a hole in it, and then mount, standard run-in-the-mill foot pegs. With this being a mini trike, we're not going to be leaning back and forth, and no risk of the foot peg hitting the ground, so we don't need to worry about it folding. And I didn't really want to have to buy something. I'd much rather make something for these projects than just buy something. I mean, that's not really what we're about. So I started thinking about it. The plate with the hole in it and some sort of foot peg on it definitely would have worked. But same deal with the seat. It would kind of limit us when whoever the next rider may be goes to sit on it. If their feet don't line up with that position, it's going to be uncomfortable. So I don't want to lock us down to something that was permanently welded to the bike. What I thought about doing is a piece of 1-inch tube, and then these 1-inch axle collars from Go Power Sports. So my idea is we'll take one of these collars and I'll put a notch in this tubing, and I will weld the tubing directly to the collar. The tubing for the mini trike is actually 1-inch outside tubing. These collars will work perfectly because it's multi-piece and it's essentially a bolt-on. We can put it on the frame wherever we want. If you wanted to throw your legs towards the back and tuck down, well, if that's how you're going to ride, then you can move them to the back. If you want to put them up and just kick your legs out, we can put them on the down tubes. Or if you don't want to run them at all, take 2 bolts out, you're done. Plus, these are relatively cheap, a lot cheaper than foot pegs are. And this tubing already had, so sounds like a good idea. I'm going to go ahead and notch our tubing. I'm just going to mark where we're going to weld that, put it on the bandsaw, notch it out, and then clean everything up real good and take it together. Our foot pegs done. Cool thing is you can move these anywhere on the frame. For some reason I was experiencing an issue with my SD card, so I didn't get any footage of me actually building the foot pegs. Also didn't get any footage of me fixing our exhaust dilemma. Luckily I took a few photos. pegs are done. Seat's done. Got our exhaust fixed. And I don't want to go any further in this video. It's getting a little long. A couple points that have been brought to my attention that probably need to be addressed. The foot pegs. Now, this being a mini trike, I'm not going to be standing up on the pegs, and as you can see, they're kind of far forward to be standing up on it actually anyway. So be very careful if you're going to try this on, say, a mini bike or any other build and you actually plan on standing on these. You may want to notch the inside of the collars so that they kind of grab the tubing of the frame that you're mounting them to, like a pair of pliers. That may help. And another thing with these pegs is they do kind of, the outer end does go forward a little bit, but that's because of the shape of the bottom frame. So what I'll probably do, just to make it a little more comfortable, is make another set of these pegs. Same concept, but I'll put a bend in them just enough that when you sit down, they are at a 90 and sit directly under your foot instead of at an angle. Coming along pretty quick. Hit that like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Until next time, guys, get up, get out there and do it.